Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind, where we get real world insights on winning from people who have accomplished amazing things. I'm your host, Larry Weidel, and let's get going. I'm here talking with Alex Makanvand from, is it Los Angeles?
General Southern California. Yeah, we call it all Los Angeles.
Yeah, people in Southern California, LA, they default to the Southern California. So, if you were to write a book right now, Alex, what would you zero in on that, the accumulation of what you have learned, that the most valuable parts that you would like to get down in writing for your boys and your daughter and, and the friends and family and people in your organization, what do you think it would center on? See, I'm launching you into your own book writing career now.
That is a tremendous question, Larry. And I think about this all the time. I think most people that start businesses, the book would be about how do you start your business? How do you get into business? How do you become successful at owning any kind of a business? And I think the general consensus is, okay, I have to learn some skills. I have to learn the things I have to do. And that's absolutely true. But I'm here to report, and I'm here to, based on experience and based on my own knowledge of almost 3 decades of being in business, is that the doing part of a business, as important as it is not the only part. It's not even the most important part. Should you have, if you're in a licensed environment, should you have your licenses? Of course. Should you learn your products? Of course. Should you know how to do a presentation, how to overcome objections, how to close sales, how to teach others how to close sales? I mean, that all goes without saying. But the part that I feel is never talked about, literally never talked about, and the few that are mega successful in business figure this part out maybe on their own, is the being part. So if you were to break any business up into the doing part and then the being part, I think nobody understands that. Nobody really realizes that the person that I was when I started 29 years ago in business is not the person that I was 5 years later. That person that was 5 years later was not the person that was, another 5 years later. It's shocking how you meet someone and then you know them for several years, then you think about them and you go, this person hasn't changed one bit. They're the same exact guy, they're the same exact gal. As a matter of fact, they probably kind of went south a little bit further, a little bit more compared to what they used to be. So if I were to boil it all down, is learn everything, get all the skills, learn your craft, absolutely. And once you've mastered your craft, realize that's about 10% of your total success formula. The other 90% is, okay, let's unpack my brain. Let's unpack my personality. What are my thoughts? What are the words that come out of my mouth? What are my behaviors? What are the things that are helping me win? And what are a lot of things that are self-defeating and that are damaging to my business and to my life? And then I want to add one more thing is a lot of people have certain level of success, but then they never get past that. I believe that has a lot to do with integrity. When you see somebody that's, you see a multimillionaire, and then you see a multi-millionaire. I think the thinking is that, oh, he got lucky. Oh, she got lucky. Oh, she was, they came up with an app. They invented some new product or something. But I could show you a lot of people that did those exact things and they had decent success. They had reasonable success. But the ones that become whales, and this is the opposite of contrary belief. I believe they had the utmost of personal and business integrity.
And so How does that translate? Where did that occur to you, and how does that translate into the real world?
Well, people are watching you. We live in glass houses. They can see everything about us, especially when you're in a business where you have other people around you. If you're self-employed, you could say whatever you want to say to a client, and they'll either believe you or they won't believe you. And they don't really know you. They don't really know your lifestyle. They don't really know you as a person. But when you're in an environment where you have hundreds of people around you, thousands of people around you, and they all look to you for their inspiration, they look to you for their lifestyle, they want to be like you, and they want to become like you, then everything that you do and say matters. Everything that you think matters. When you think no one is watching, when you think no one's around, it matters what you think. It matters what you say. It matters how you behave.
And when you were talking about in the beginning of getting started, and you were talking about quitting, wanting to quit 100 times a day. What would you say is since then? You keep on going, and the reason you kept on going is you didn't have a choice. Like people will come up to me and say, like I'm sure they say to you, it's like, thanks for not quitting, and thanks for keeping on. And because, and helping to build the company, and, if they work inside your company, because you've given us an opportunity, and appreciate you doing that. Don't know how you went through all those tough times, but, and in fact, how did you go through those tough times? I said, well, keep in mind, I didn't have General Motors calling me, offering me a $250,000 a year vice presidency.
They were calling for a car payment. That's what they were calling for.
So if I was going through the spinning the deck of options, it was like, they gave me one card. It was, and so I had to play the one card I had and hope for the best, So with when you think back, we all go through really tough times. What was the worst time for you? Was it business? Was it, in business where the economy changed? Was it business where, personally you were hurt, where there was a financial reversal that you didn't see coming? Was it something that happened to your health, or, someone close to you inside your organization came in and took advantage, let's just say, to make it clean. And what were the gut wrenching things that you've lived through that you're most proud of?
Wow, that's a great question, Larry. There's probably several hundred stories, but the one that comes to mind, one that was really a defining moment. One was that if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have known who I was and the kind of person that I was becoming. And there's so many aspects to it, but it went something like this, where we were doing okay. We're just kind of plugging along and building our organization, building our agency. We already had 2 or 3 other brokers that we had developed. And then there was a mass exodus where I had no idea that it was happening, that it was building. There was a storm building. And by the way, I take 100% responsibility for everything that happened, including that maybe I should have been more vigilant. Maybe I should have been more aware. Maybe I should have treated people nicer. I could go on and on and on, but just to give you the essence of it. So there was a mass walkout, where this was around 2007, 2008, or prior to that, when the mortgage industry was crazy, where people were making 5 points on a mortgage.
Right.
They could make 3 points in the front, 2 points in the back. I mean, on a $500,000 mortgage, they could make $25,000 on one transaction.
Yeah.
And so for somebody that was a little bit disillusioned in the business, a little bit maybe hurting, maybe it wasn't paying them the way it should have, they take a look and they say, I could just sell one mortgage a month and I could make 25 grand. And so then one guy talked to another guy talked to another guy. And then I look up, we were out of town, actually. We were at a company convention and I get a phone call saying, hey, did you know what's happening? You're having about, half of your guys leaving. And I'm like,
What? Yeah.
Right. And by the way, my office manager called me and she said, oh, by the way, I'm going with them, just to let you know.
What? As a courtesy call.
Right.
This is the last time you'll hear my voice.
Right. Yeah. And I was numb. I was sitting there going,
what percent of your organization, of your key people went?
We had 8 top leaders that were slated to become brokers over the course of the next, 30, 60, 90 days. They had all their licenses and they had all their numbers and everything. And that group left.
Wow.
And the word was, Alex is gone. He's out of business. Don't waste your time with them. They basically left me on the roadside. And it's funny because over the course of next 12 months, our personal income doubled.
Wow.
Because of that adversity. And so this is not a woe is me story. This is a story of redemption. This is really a story it's a comeback story, that I believe that because of this type of adversity, because the bigger the adversity in your life, the bigger the comeback. And by the way, all of the people that left, they're all financially destitute and desperate. I mean, I don't keep tabs on anybody, but I get reports back. Oh, so-and-so is doing this and so-and-so is doing that. And so there was no winning in that for them. They just got caught up in the whole mortgage thing. So,
well, congratulations on surviving that. And I think a lot of being able, when that happens to you, you find out if you do have strength, you do have character, if you have done the right things. Because if something like that happens, Alex, and you already have doubts about yourself, you're going to crumble. But the fact is, when you get challenged, slapped in the face, of course, you go through the worry and the emotion and but you evaluate as like, what did I do to cause this? It was like when I won't go into it, but I've gone through my fair share of horror stories, but it's like, if it costs me $2 million, it's like, okay, I'm going to analyze this. I'm going to make my changes and I'm going to take this lesson and make $20 million out of it. It's just like, what I'm saying? That's a $2 million lesson. I'm going to learn it. And it's not a hit. It's a lesson that I let somebody teach me because I wasn't paying attention to the books or the accounting, the people who were doing this or that or the other. And it's like, okay, I did this to myself. It's $2 million, but I'm going to use it to make another at least 20 million, over the next 10 years or something like that. And so what you did was exactly that. And people need to know that disasters are going to happen and surprising disasters will happen. The great thing is they don't happen all the time, and so for one thing happens to a friend of ours out in Salt Lake City, in his office, somebody got upset with something that somebody said about somebody, whatever. And this somebody went and called maybe it was their friend or their husband or whatever that worked at the local TV station and said, they're running a scam organization over there, selling drugs out of there. They've got, they've been getting away with it for years and everybody knows about it in that side of town. So this guy goes, he's showing up late to work. He's at like a Friday. He's almost to the office, and his daughter, I think, was the secretary. She said, don't come. She said, you got SWAT teams in the guard, around the and guard dogs at the front door, and the SWAT teams surrounding the building. They got a TV camera, TV station. It's a small Salt Lake City, small
Oh
town.
my God.
Yeah, the TV stations here filming live. With the reporters for the paper. Don't come. This, that, and the other. So, but he was almost there anyway. So he walks in. They make him do the walk of shame into the office, sit him down in the lobby, handcuff him. He's handcuffed. And their
Wow.
films are running and this and the other. And, it took, in situations like that, it takes a few hours to, if they are told something like that, they have to take it serious,
Right.
And so it took a few hours to get it unraveled where they let him go and everything. But the trial, anything can happen.
Yeah. So did they find the drugs, or did they flush it down the toilet, or what happened?
They found there was no drugs within a half a mile of the office. Drugs were only in the person's mind that
Right.
made that up, But I had to drive halfway across the country overnight to have an emergency meeting with everybody to kind of get, shift gears and get everybody fired back up again. And, to go in there and tell some jokes or something, I don't know what I did, but I tried to get them laughing and they recovered and they did great, but things like that will happen. But because that happens to you, you don't have to fall apart.
Right.
And that's the key. And if you don't fall apart, it could turn into the greatest thing that ever happens. And, if we get, I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I'd like to talk more, but I've kind of kept you long enough. How did you turn that around? How did you absorb that to where your income doubled in the next year?
Just went to work. First of all, I was already working, but I just decided that this is it. Remember, quitting was off the table.
Right.
Quitting was not an option. And so I thought, what are my options here? I felt bad. I felt like I was having a heart attack, literally.
Right.
And then of course I had to do a lot of managing and putting out fires and all that. But at the end of the day, because we had some great people that stayed, I think a big part of it was that they saw the pain, they saw the agony, they saw what we were going through. Yeah. And then so the team stepped up, our entire agency stepped up, our brokers stepped up. They said, not on our watch. Yeah. So that had a lot to do with it. When you're all alone, then you're all alone. But boy, when you have a team, sure makes a difference.
It goes back to what you said earlier about your thing about negotiations. It's like, don't let yourself get all married to one car, one watch, or one this, one that, because there's another one, there'll be another one out there. There's another deal out there. And these people, don't get yourself married to a certain, just succeeding with this certain group of people. You can go get other people, and the funniest line I ever heard on that was a guy had a big organization, and he said, I tell my people, he said, if everybody quits, he said, I will go out and rebuild it, and it'll be bigger and better than ever. He said, now, of course, it'll take 6 months for me to recover from my heart attack.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you don't have the emotional shock of dealing with these kind of things, but you can't control them. There's a limit to how upset you can let yourself get over things you can't control. So, hey, thanks so much, Alex. We're going to have to do this again soon. Thanks so much. Any parting words that you want to pass on to the people who've been listening to this about winning?
Absolutely. It's so worth it to go through a little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort. We live in times seemingly that no one wants to pay a price anymore. Everyone's looking outside of themselves for something. They want the government or an employer, or look within yourself. You have, doesn't matter what skill level you're at, you have everything in you. It's in your DNA. It's like ragu Italian sauce. It's in there. It's in there. And all you got to do is just trust in yourself, believe in yourself, but you got to work your tail off. And it is so worth it when you get to the other side.
Absolutely fantastic. Thanks so much, Alex. I will look forward to the next time.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Larry. You're awesome.
That wraps up this episode. Consider leaving a rating and review if you like what you heard. In addition, I have a free video for you that contains my best insights from 20 years of running my own business and also coaching $1 million earners. You'll find it at whiteelonwinning.com/webinar. Thanks for listening and do it big.